Windows are wrapped, cafe's closed, NDAs are signed. Something's about to get dropped off. Oh, he's back. Last time Sa was here was Mad Mac. No one's even gonna remember Mad Mac after this. I mean, that's being a bit rude for Mad Mac. Mad Mac's pretty special, but this is gonna be pretty wild. Quite nervous, to be honest, because this is by far gonna be the most challenging thing we're about to turn into a drift car. We've done stuff from MX-5s and go-karts and bloody McLarens, Lambos, but this is really gonna be a challenge for me and the boys.
Even though it was so like deflating at the time, hearing the news that it wasn't going to happen, you know, every year still pitching the idea because it was something that you believed in so much, and like had such a strong vision in your mind of what it could actually be when it came to fruition.
10 years since the first email back saying that it's probably going to be impossible, to now be getting this delivery that's meant to be here. It was meant to be here like 2 months ago, but it's going to be here, and it's quite scary actually, to be honest.
It's really happening.
Yeah, it's like we're building by far the most insane project that Tony and I have ever tackled, that's for sure.
I have a lot of faith in you.
Oh, clearly.
Is he going to do it? Yeah, he's done it.
Got him this time. How about that?
Well, now Senna, you see, played the absolute perfect gentleman there.
Well, a major problem. It looks as though he's about to lose second place. Capelli's going for it. And no, yes! Ivan Capelli goes up into second place. Frank Capelli taking it. Capelli leads. A 3.5 metre car leads at 4-3 for the first time in 1988.
Day one, the parcel arrived last night. I mean, most of my cars scare me, but this is really gonna scare me. Oh, there we go. There we frickin' go. Now I'm in the seat. Holy bro. Get the gearbox. How am I meant to drift and do this gearbox and have a handbrake with a steering wheel that's smaller than a simulator steering wheel? Okay, this is officially the scariest thing I've ever sat in. Massive fan of 80s and 90s. Doesn't matter whether it's friggin' Formula 1, WRC, motocross, BMX. Clearly, I got 80s and 90s stuff everywhere. This was the dream, was to always do that era of F1, back when there was like the craziest drivers, barely any rules, just the craziest technicians building the most wild cars. So for me to be able to showcase that era, which excited me the most of Formula 1, I didn't even know the drivers back then because we didn't have a TV to actually be able to watch and learn the personalities of the drivers. For me, it was more about which cars look cool. You knew them for their graphics, or you know, their style of driving. To find a car that was in that era, we didn't want to cut up something that's super heritage of getting a Senna car or something. This was the first year Adrian Newey got involved with Formula 1. For this team, he redesigned the car the following year. It's like literally the dream platform for us, and yeah, man, thank you Red Bull, because this is literally the dream project that Tony and I have been working on since 2018, you know, so it's a long time, and I'm holding the steering wheel of the frickin' Formula 1. Oh, Link, you gotta sit in that, bro. Yeah, look, it's full lock. Fuck. Look, positive, that's more steering lock than the McLaren had. I love, like, if you look back at the photos of this team, Leighton House in 1987, what they were doing, so they came off Formula 3000 and literally transformed the car to Formula 1. Every photo you see of these cars, they're different because they were trying different stuff. 87 was the year they ran 2 classes because it was the year that they kind of outlawed the turbos because the cars were just getting out of control. ridiculous. And obviously that was the killer years of Formula One, WRC. Yeah, lots of heroes lost, but it was the era that I want to showcase, because I feel like this era, we're going to build a car that kids will look at and be like, wow, this is crazy. Then the older generation, granddads, are going to be able to talk about how, like, look son, that's real Formula One. That's when there was no rules, the craziest technicians, craziest car builders, the craziest drivers, and now we get to literally build ours. We're building some of these world-class vehicles, but there's always a lot of banter and there's a lot of ideas, even though there's only really 3 of us trying to figure it out. How do we find the answers for these projects? Well, there's far more of it on MADLAB.tv. Take advantage of the 7-day free trial. And this is the biggest cockpit we could find. We were looking like late 80s and early 90s is kind of when they started going to paddle shift. So this all started closing right in because they didn't need any elbow space, but you can see here they still ran an H-pattern gearbox. Oh my gosh, you know what I just discovered? It's actually got a foot clutch already.
It does?
Bro, it's already got a foot clutch.
It's actually working.
It's a foot pedal in there. So it's already got 3 pedals. The vision, reality. The vision, reality. I think our biggest struggle, I mean, there's a lot of things we have to consider to be able to make this thing a drift car, but this gearbox, because if you look at all these rear arms in the back, everything ties back to this gearbox. Whether this gearbox is actually strong enough. 5 rotor would have been NA, would have been 790 at the wheel, so this gearbox would have been able to handle it. 4 rotor, because that's what we can fit, it's obviously still going to have to extend what I've measured so far is 160 mil. The problem is with the 4 rotor, they're just way too common. NA 4 rotor. So we'd turbo it, but as soon as we turbo a 4 rotor, it's over 1,000 horsepower. So then that means this gearbox may not be strong enough, which then means we have to find a whole nother transaxle. So you can see all the pickups, all the control arms, the shocks, everything is mounted off the gearbox housing. So Brendan would literally be fabricating something that bolts to the carbon monocoque. That's the good thing with this year, mid-80s, but it's the first years of carbon monocoque. So somehow attaching a tube frame, essentially we'd be making a giant subframe that then our arms and everything would bolt to that. A transaxle would fit into that, and then that would all house the motor. All of this whole rear end would come off this car and be, I'd say scrap. We wouldn't scrap it, but it would not be used on this project. So we've literally spent a lot of money for half of Formula One. Pick it up and pull it around. Probably could actually. I mean, there's a lot to do. This challenge is by far the biggest, but today we want to work out how much room we have, figuring out which motor we're going to put in. We know it's going to be rotary, of course, but what configuration, whether it's 3 rotor turbo, 4 rotor, 5 rotor, and what gearbox. Ideally we put something late model, something fresh, could be something like the X-Track or something that was in the Mad Mac, but turn around and have a look.
So what are your first thoughts of it?
Yeah.
What do you think, mate? Just unbelievable we got a car of this caliber sitting in here. It's a dry subtac. How cool is that, man?
Well, that makes the gearbox really tiny then if that's all just a tank.
Yeah, there's the gearbox at the back, diff, and it's just got an input shaft that goes through.
Okay, so that just opens up a whole lot.
That's exactly right.
700, we're there.
Yeah, we've got that much more, 100%. I think that's just amazing, eh?
Just for blend the clutch,
I know.
everything's right here.
Everything is just so incredible.
Wow, that's actually crazy to see where my feet are.
Go jump in it.
Holy hell. I'll put on
Bro,
some,
put on some race
I'm going to
shoes,
put on
yeah.
some race boots because I tried hopping in just normal broken shoes and yeah, which is a little tight. Suiting and booting.
Just
You ain't heel toeing in this thing, eh?
No, you can't get it, eh?
So you look like in here is actually super comfortable. And I haven't even got any pads in the seat.
Well, I think we should pull this around and have a look at that gearbox, because I think the gearbox is the first thing we need to sort.
Well, yeah, gearbox and configuration.
Yeah,
so
that's our...
The first thing is measure the wheelbase, so we know exactly when we start pulling all this apart, we know where the wheels actually did sit.
Yeah.
So we know these are the, you know, we could probably go 100 mil without even noticing.
No, you won't, no.
If we start going any more than that, I think that's when we're going to
start look like a
just
little
be
bit
like,
Well, what I was going to suggest now is that we just use the arms of the hoist and we can strap it around and we can actually lift it up and then put on the pods.
Yeah, so this morning's discussions, lots of things, lots of areas to discuss as we're like at the back of the car figuring out what's transaxle. Well, actually, so we're looking at 3MO's transaxle setup. We've got a 3MO 6-speed sequential, which is behind our 5-rotor and the 787. Engine configuration, we've kind of worked out there's 2 options. So 3MO transaxle, that removes this whole part here, which is looks like a housing of a gearbox, but all that is actually a dry sump. So that means our engine backplate can come further back. As much as we're cutting this thing up and a lot of the stuff is not going to get used, we want to use as much of it as we can because we want to keep the heritage of this car and what it is, you know. Otherwise we would have just built a frame and put a, you know, fiberglass F1 body on it. Even just when I'm sitting in the cockpit thinking about stuff like shifting, whether it's paddle shift, stick shift, hydraulic handbrake. Yeah, just have shift and friggin' handbrake.
Yeah, shift on the right, handbrake on the left, because we won't need those adjustable levers.
Coming into the corner and then you go to like handbrake and downshift at the same time. I'm just thinking like, what about what Rod Millen was saying in the stadium truck where he had the hydraulic handbrake mounted to the toe of his foot brake.
Yeah.
I know there's not much room down there, but as he would stand on the brake and then he'd roll his toe and that would lock up the rear.
Yeah.
Bit of Rod Millen inspiration. So much work ahead of us. The first things we want to do is work out the configuration, and if you want to see things firsthand, you want to see a little bit more behind the scenes, well, make sure you head to madlab.tv because it's all happening over there. If not, we'll see you on the next episode. Chew!